Tron Ares explodes into theaters this weekend. Does it live up to the hype and expectations of its predecessors, Tron Legacy? Let me know your thoughts right now, immediately, on Tron Ares.
Now we're gonna do spoiler free for a little bit in this episode, and I will say, I had pretty low expectations for this film.
Yeah, me too.
They were kind of on the floor. We're talking about Tron Legacy's Legacy sequel with a new cast, except obviously Jeff Bridges returns. That's not a spoiler. He's in the trailer, and he has his own poster. I gotta say, since my expectations were so low, the movie was actually enjoyable. It was better than I expected. It wasn't great. It wasn't very good, but it was good. I had a decent time. There's actually some surprisingly good themes in the film. The idea of how technology is used. Is it used for the betterment of humanity, or is it used for warfare? I really like that. And there's some really cool themes about AI that weren't like the same kinds of things that we see over and over again. There were some cliches. The dialogue's not really that great, but there's some really great action. The CGI is outstanding from ILM. This is some of the best work in CGI animation you'll see all year, as well as a fantastic, unsurprisingly banging score from Nine Inch Nails, who actually have roles in this film we'll talk about later on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jared Leto, we were making fun of him all year about it, but he was pretty good as Ares, I gotta say. It was the best thing, my favorite thing I've seen him in years. I think he suited playing a program really well. Overall, wasn't that great, but it was pretty good time at the theater, I gotta say.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It's not blowing me away. It's pretty low rewatch value for me. I'd rather just go watch Tron Legacy again.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to mix it up. You know, I think, like you said, some of the great parts of it, the CGI and visual effects are astounding. It's incredible what they pull off in this series, in this franchise. And like you said, ILM are magicians at what they do. Really incredible work. We respect them so much. They're some of the best in the business, as well as Weta Digital was involved in a lot of this. Weta Digital created the suits for the Tron series here. And the cast is good, but they're not working with much at the end of the day. There are so many cliches. You know, we have the current cliche of young trillionaire tech guy who is super evil and a dick, and it's getting
It's the new Disney villain.
It's getting a bit redundant. Yeah.
Disney used to have great villains. Now it's always the same fucking villain.
Same thing over and over again. But I will give them credit. They did explore, let's take the Tron grid and put it in the real world.
Yes.
How do you do that? And it's really interesting how they do it. In the trailers, obviously, it shows it's like basically a digital 3D printer, which it was pretty cool. This movie, feels long, but it's actually under 2 hours, which I was surprised at the end of the film.
And it has a title credit sequence, and I felt like, there's not much story here.
I feel like there's a lot left on the editing room floor. Clearly, Jared Leto is passionate about Tron, and it came across. I think he's really good in this movie as Ares. It's a complicated character. You're a program, and you're basically, I guess it's kind of, I don't want to spoil too much yet, his objective and his goals.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about it in a little bit.
His internal goals and his directives given to him by his creator are different, and they conflict. It offers good plot. But at the end of the day, the plot itself, they didn't explore as much as I wanted to about not just the cyber world that I fell in love with, and a lot of us did with Tron Legacy, and the expansiveness of it, and the grid, but also the idea of how we left the end of Tron Legacy.
Yes.
What happens when these programs come into the real world? What's it like? What are their thoughts? What's their process of confusion mixed with identity and consciousness?
Yeah.
They dabble with it, but I think it's a theme that got kind of left behind. And this movie went more for an audio-visual spectacle with the incredible effects in action, which undoubtedly are remarkable. And like you said, the banging score from Nine Inch Nails, which is relentless. Fortunately, they're amazing musicians, and the music's great. But for me, I think the music kind of distracts you. The weaknesses of the film and the story, because it's constant.
Yeah.
And it's cool. And you're in a nightclub the whole movie. In a lot of ways, Tron Legacy, there's a lot of great music in there as well. But sometimes the Nine Inch Nails music, which is so artistic and creative, it doesn't let you breathe, because I think they want you to it feels like a music video at times. They're trying to, I think, distract you from the weaknesses of the plot. Real quick, Anthony, let's talk about this amazing The Running Man poster over my shoulder, brought to us by our friends at movieposters.com. Raiders 10 at checkout from movieposters.com will get you 10% off your order.
The story was lacking because I would say there's probably 25 minutes of chasing in this movie. There's 3 big chase sequences, and those are long scenes, and they're cool and visually stunning, and music and the filming was really great. I'm not sure if you got any Dark Knight vibes, but I'll break some down.
Yeah, quite a few.
A lot of this film is just people being chased by other people.
I got Terminator vibes.
Yes.
There's some great moments that actually feel like we have a villain that's reminiscent of Terminator.
I thought so too, especially in the third act. We can talk about that later on, because there's also, Evan Peters is billed as the villain of this movie, but there is another villain that shows up, reveals themselves to be villainous. The second half of the film we'll talk about once we break out of the spoiler-free territory of this episode. But I agree. Tron Legacy left the door open for some really interesting things, the programs in the real world, and we got that in this film. And they had a couple of really cool concepts and really cool ideas. I like the approach, and I really like the interactions of the grid technology in the real world. Most notably, the light beam walls that they create from their vehicles and how that affects the real world. And it's like light glass. It's really cool. And it felt real. Like, it looked real. These fucking beams of solid light. I was just absolutely blown away by the visual effects of this film. Great to see Jeff Bridges back. I will say, one of the big pros of this film is that it was clearly made with the love of the original film.
Yeah, the original. Yeah.
You get to see some really great callbacks. Sometimes it feels a little nostalgia baity, but I think it's done in good taste and done with a lot of heart. And reverence for the original film as well as Jeff Bridges' character, Kevin Flynn. And also, we get to see, and this has been revealed in the marketing, the original 80s version of the grid in this film, which was one of the highlights of the movie. And you can tell the crowd loved it. There were a good number of Tron heads in the crowd, you could tell, and they were really happy and satisfied to see that stuff, to see the bit, to see the old light cycle. It was really great to see those. Jared Leto is a super fan of Tron. He pushed to get involved in this project and help make it. And you can see that he clearly had some directives to go back to the original and try to honor what they did with that amazing groundbreaking piece of filmmaking in 1982. But those are some of the great strengths of the film. There are a lot of weaknesses as well, but I gotta say, weak story, but pretty entertaining, exciting action.
Yeah, and the cast, they're all solid. Besides Jared Leto, Jeff Bridges is in this film. I won't spoil his part. Obviously, like Anthony says, he's Kevin Flynn again, but I don't want to spoil how involved he is in the story. Greta Lee is basically the lead of the film, in addition to Jared Leto. I think she does a solid job. It's a big blockbuster film, and these two actors have to basically carry it on their backs, and they do a really good job doing that together at times. They have really interesting chemistry because obviously Ares is a program, and this is the real world's first time interacting with AI beings and AI tech. Evan Peters' character, obviously based off the trailers and spoiling, is bringing things from the grid to the real world, not just weaponry, tanks, machinery, but also soldiers, billing Ares as the next great soldier, 100% expendable. And the world interacts in a unique way, but I will say I think they dropped the ball, not just expanding and exploring the world of the cyberspace of the grid, but also the world's reaction to these entities, to these beings. It's mostly we're just with our same 5 characters from their perspective, which is good. But I think what Tron Legacy does so well is really exploring vastness of the grid. And we didn't get either exploration vastness of the grid or the real world as you have to knock stuff over there. In Tron Ares, I was also let down. I think I want to say, I guess the story in general, like I said, I really wanted to explore the ideas of what it means to have AI in our world bigger versus just like very simple themes of we have a character who wants to use AI for good and a character who wants to use AI for bad and for corporate gain and monetary gain. It's very simplified, but I think it's a very complex issue. But at the end of the day, it's a Disney movie.
Yeah.
We have very Disney characters. We have, type A, type B, type C characters we've seen 100 times in movies that are part of a formula. It's like a pop song, the same 4 chords. It works. People nod their heads and they enjoy it. We have characters that are very much caricatures of characters we've seen before. It does work. I just wanted more depth all around.
I actually wrote in my Letterboxd review, it features 3rd grade level dialogue. It's very simplistic.
Very simple.
Like the themes are big, but the way they approach it is very simplistically, I think, because they're going for a younger crowd.
Constantly telling you what's going on.
Like you have the problem of characters repeating things and information that we already know, and then asking questions about things we already know. And it's like that kind of dialogue is like you see on bad TV. And that's not what you want to see. So things were really spelled out. Very simple things were spelled out for us multiple times. So like when AJ called, the assistant was like, "Oh, it's AJ on the phone." And then she answers the phone, "AJ." It's like, we get it. AJ's on the phone. You don't need to say it 3 times. It's like things like that happen in this film a lot. But something I was very curious about was the red theme, the red color, in all the marketing, in all the Tron programs. I was wondering, why are we all red now? And it's explained. There's 2 grids now. There's the Encom grid, and then there's the Dillinger Systems grid. The Encom one is blue. The Dillinger one is red. So I really like that. And there's a point where Dillinger hacks into the Encom grid. So I like how they're separate grids, and both companies are trying to bring in programs and to the real world, but they're having this issue. We can start leaning into what the plot is now. The issue that both companies have been faced with is they can
spoilers. Yeah, give us
spoiler
very
warning.
Clear spoiler warning.
We're talking about spoilers now.
Spoilers for Tron Ares ahead.
So both companies, they have a big problem. They want to bring programs into the real world in different ways, different kinds of programs. They're able to do it, to physically bring things from the grid into the real world, but whatever they bring into the real world only survives 29 minutes before it disintegrates. So they have this problem where there's no permanence to whatever they bring into the real world. So they're trying, both companies, Dillinger, played by Evan Peters, who is very good at acting and very good in the role. It's just the character is something we've seen 1,000 times, but he is very good. And then Greta Lee plays Eve Kim, who's been running Encom ever since Sam Flynn, for some reason, just walked away. I mean, I thought that movie ended with an uplifting, like, I'm ready to change the world, and then he didn't. So that was kind of a little bit of a bummer to see that he's just kind of brushed aside. I don't know if Garrett Hedlund didn't want to be involved in the film, if they asked him to. We get a little tease of him and of Olivia Wilde later in the film. But basically, Eve Kim is also trying to find what's called the permanence code, which is a line of code, not dissimilar to the DNA of human beings in anatomy and biology, that allows for things to be brought from the grid into the real world and maintain their integrity and physical form for basically permanently.
And not necessarily permanently, but for a real life cycle.
Yes, yeah.
An actual just one cycle. Now, so the Kim sisters are running Encom now. They were game developers, and they became CEOs of Encom after their game exploded and after Sam stepped down. Kim's sister passed away from a disease, but she's using her work, and she's discovered the permanence code after her sister was searching for it that Kevin Flynn hid on 2 hard drives, one in the middle of nowhere in the Arctic and one in his back door office. So that's basically the plot, is going after and trying to discover the permanence code. And we have Evan Peters at Dillinger wanting to create military tech, military weaponry, and military soldiers for massive profit, massive gain at any expense. And then Kim, who wants to use the permanence code to help the world in better ways, creating food and growing crops for people all around the world, and in poverty and hunger, and basically help with the energy crisis and climate change. And so we have our typical cliche, really simple bad guy, really simple good guy, hero, villain archetypes here.
Yes, and then Tron Ares comes into
Yeah,
this.
so that's one of the biggest problems with this movie, I think, is Tron's not in it. You know, the movie's called Tron
Yeah.
Ares, and Tron's not in the fucking movie. I understand Tron's a program.
Yeah.
But like
he's at least in Legacy.
Yeah.
He comes in at the end. You know, he saves the day. I also agree. But Ares is good. I like the character of Ares. I will say this movie takes a while to get going.
It does.
And
it's an expository regurgitation.
I think the worst thing a film can do is to open with news footage revealing exposition, and that's what this film does.
Well, it can work. I think it works in movies like
Children of Men,
zombie movies. It can work as well.
I get it.
But this is a lot.
It's 2 hours of talking heads, and it's done in a
5 minutes.
Yeah, it's visually stunning way, but it's a lot of exposition. And like they tell you who everyone is, they give it to the audience right away. I didn't love that, but once it started out with Ares being built, I really was in it. I thought it was really well shot. The director, it was really well directed.
Oh, it's
well photographed, well lit. The production is just really top notch. It's really good stuff, and you can tell the filmmakers made this movie with a lot of love. It's really just the story that lets it down. But I like the idea of Ares. It's a program that Dillinger created to be the ultimate weapon, and that's what he's using as he's trying to get investors to invest in AI, grid-based tech, and weaponry, and soldiers like Ares that when you bring into the real world, you can basically build an army in 5 minutes at a second's notice. If your country's at threat, you can build an army in 5 minutes and defend yourself. So I like the concept. I like how the idea that, you know, wealthy corporations in the military complex would definitely try to take advantage of this technology. I like all that, and Ares is something that I guess he's a program that's so complex. He thinks and he's questioning everything. I will say they went really fast with that, where it's like right when he was built, it seemed like he was questioning existence, and I feel like there should have been a moment or like a trigger, but it seemed like immediately he was like, what is life? Where I felt like that happened way too fast for the character.
That's, I think, was the most interesting part of the movie.
Yes.
Is exploring that theme of life, of consciousness for a program from their perspective, instead of just like, oh, it's raining. What is life?
Yes.
I want self-control. And just using rain as a trigger.
Yeah, it happens twice.
It was a little corny.
Yeah.
A little cheesy. I think the biggest con to Tron Ares is about 35% of this movie takes place with characters looking at screens, watching screens, looking at monitors, us watching them look at screens. A lot of this movie is literally just watching screens and watching characters look at screens. I think that was a big con to it, because you can get away with it with a good amount of your film, sure, but a substantial runtime of this film is just watching screens and looking at people watch screens.
And then another substantial runtime is people just chasing.
Yeah.
The chase sequences
I don't mind
are
a
long.
chase movie.
Yeah.
I mean, Mad Max Fury Road, it's an entire chase movie.
Yeah.
But I was getting a little tired of looking at screens and digital screens, not to mention a lot of the same camera movements that became repetitive for me, which are very expensive to do. You know, you have a crane shot close up where you're circling around a character to reveal, you know, what they're looking at, the expanse of what they're looking at.
Yeah.
It must have been 15 shots that started with a close up and then wrapped around the character to reveal the room they're in and everything like that. So I think parts of it got a little repetitive with technical aspects like that. And it's a movie where, you know, you have this massive budget, you can do anything you want, so you might as well, like, I think from their perspective, throw the kitchen sink at every shot you can do, but you don't, I think, have to do everything you can do just because you have the resources to do it. I think for me, it needs to make sense.
Gotcha, yeah, 100%. And the rest of there's a pretty good cast of actors, although I will say all the supporting roles are very tiny. Cameron Monaghan, I thought, was going to have a big role. He's the that red-haired guy in the Star Wars video game, and he played Joker on TV.
Yeah,
he was teased. He's been teasing this movie for like a year, and he's in the movie for like 20 seconds.
Barely in it.
Yeah.
I saw him with his mask. I'm like, no way, this guy's in this movie.
Yeah, it's Gillian Anderson, great in this. Like, she's got a good amount of screen time. She's an extremely talented actor. She had a pretty good role. Jodie Turner-Smith ended up being one of the villains of the film, and I think she did a really good job in the villainous role of Athena, who is a program that, like James said, Terminator-esque will do whatever it takes to complete its objective and its directive, even if it means, killing people who are on her team, essentially. Hasan Minhaj, as AJ, I had a problem with his character, not his role and his acting, but his character saved the day, and he was barely in the film before that, and he was like the guy who hacked into Dillinger's system, and I was like, he should have had more screen time in the plot in the first half.
Yeah. Arturo Castro plays Seth Flores, a pretty big role, basically Kim's right-hand man, and I think he's a great actor. He's got great comedic chops. It's just the character. It's just kind of the cliche, goofy sidekick making breakfast burritos. Like, I don't know why they're talking about breakfast burritos so much in this movie.
The comedy was not landing.
So that's the thing with, this new era of Disney blockbusters. I think that, you look at Tron Legacy, which has humor.
Yeah.
But I think it's more nuanced and a little more sophisticated and more realistic. Whereas Disney, or not just Disney, but these big blockbusters, which are generally family friendly, have a lot of the same characters, the same exact comedic beats, and the exact style of comedy. How many goofy sidekicks that have a weird obsession with something and keep bringing it up have you seen in a movie? It's like every single fucking one. So that's a character for me. I was just like, he's a really great actor, but it's like the character. I've seen this character 100 times in the last 5 years.
I completely agree. But I want to talk about some positives of this film real quick.
Take your time. You don't have to do it fast.
Real quick. There are some things I was like, this is actually really cool. First up, we've seen these are programs, and we've seen them, act in human ways. We don't often see the programs in Tron movies like carrying out what they do. And so in this film, I thought my favorite scene in the movie, and it's one of the best scenes in any Tron movie, is Dillinger is trying to hack into the ENCOM system, and he's using the Ares program to do that. And the way that he's sending like basically a malware virus, as Ares is acting like a virus to infect and break into and hack into the ENCOM computer system. But we see that tangibly and physically done on the grid by Ares and his team breaking in to the ENCOM grid computer system, and they're taking out the guards at the blue guards at ENCOM. They're breaking through barriers. They're cutting through grid glass. I loved it. I was like, okay, this is really cool. Seeing that these programs, how they hack into another system is they're literally like killing programs, breaking through stuff, and just like going into it. I thought it was so fun.
I agree. And we were getting a lot of sequences that were kind of like that. Like, what does it look like when you're hacking, and then actually physically seeing it happen? Kevin Flynn, that was the whole concept of the grid. Like, I created this digital frontier. What did circuits look like? They look like ships, computers. The circuits run like freeways. I kept imagining a world I thought I'd never see. And then one day I got in. I love that concept. And I thought that was a lot of fun as well. And we did spend a decent amount of time on the Dillinger grid. Not much time on the ENCOM grid.
True.
Which I was missing. I was missing the grid exploration. Basically, the most we saw of the grids was obviously this really big chase sequence, which was pretty damn cool on the Dillinger grid. But besides that, we're basically in one big room.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 scenes open.
The Ares room?
At least, like this Ares program room. Like, we didn't leave that room for a lot of sequences of the movie. Which, for me, I wanted to see more. Tron Legacy, we're exploring so much. It's a whole new world, characters everywhere. But the screenplay really puts Ares and the other programs, when they're on the grid, in this tiny bubble.
Yeah, good point.
And I wanted to leave that bubble. I wanted to leave this main control room. And I get they're a control program. There's no need for them to really expand. But that was one of my favorite parts of Legacy was, yes, we're exploring the real world here, but I want to see more of the grid. I want to see what are the creative differences of the Dillinger grid versus ENCOM's grid that Kevin Flynn built. We have nightclubs and all kinds of situations on that grid, which is
the arena,
which is already being corrupted by Clue at the time. But yes, exactly. What does Dillinger's grid have to be the opposite of that, or to complement that? More aspects of the Tron program culture. We didn't really get any of that.
Do you think that having an NCOM grid character would have helped the film.
I think absolutely. There was no NCOM program.
There was if they had put in a program from the NCOM grid that was, an opposite of Ares or like Eve's program, I think that could have added a lot more depth and complexity to the story. It could have built out the world better. Because you're right, in Tron Legacy, it's a city. It's a whole world. When Sam is in there, he's like in a fucking city. He's like, what the fuck? And then we go into the arena. We go into the mountains where Kevin's been hiding out. We go into the city, and there's, like you said, the end of the line club. There's the ocean, the sea that they explore. I think Kaczynski had a really great vision for that film of building out what that world was. And you're right. There's a really cool sequence that we explore some of the industrial area of the red grid, of the Dillinger grid, and that's the chase when Ares makes a deal with Eve, and it's really good stuff. I mean, we got to see what water is like, what grid water is like, and
we've seen water before.
Oh yeah, true. And I really enjoyed that chase. It was really cool and visually stunning, and we did explore a little bit, but there was no societal elements that we saw. It was just architecture, if that makes sense. We didn't see it, like you said, any other programs. What's the hierarchy system like? What's the social system like? What are all these programs doing? We did only just stay mostly in that box of a room. So that's a great point.
Yeah, it's you take your characters, which are interesting characters, and you put them in a hamster cage, so they can't really do much besides look out a window. And, we kind of have Wizard of Oz talking head, giant head figure, which is how Dillinger communicates with Ares, which works to an extent.
Now let's take a moment to hear a word from our sponsors.
MoviePosters.com provided this amazing poster over my shoulder for the Black Phone 2 as well as this light box. Use our code Raiders10 at checkout for Movie Posters today to get 10% off your order, plus our affiliate link, which is in the episode description, will get us a commission. So you click that link so they can track that you came there from us. Use our code Raiders10 at checkout. We get a commission. You get a discount. You get an awesome poster. It's a win-win for everybody. MoviePosters.com.
Now let's get back into the episode.
I think that this movie, despite having two solid villains, with the Dillinger and then Athena, basically like a Terminator-esque character, which was so fun at times, I still think that, this is another situation where a studio is more interested in setting up sequels than focusing on making the best possible movie you can. And if you have a big blockbuster like this, your movie's really only as good as your villain. And Dillinger being your main villain here because he's running the program, he's running Dillinger's the company. And we have a post-credit scene where he's about to be arrested, so he escapes inside of his own grid, which has been nuked, but obviously still exists.
I loved his escape. It was great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And he escapes into the grid, and he is in shock of what he's seeing, and he gets his info disc, and he grabs the info disc, which is really cool, and then the grid technology creates and turns him into what's going to be clearly a big bad, and the suit design looks like a great reference to the original Tron movie. Mm-hmm. If we got that halfway through, and he turns into a big digital bad, as well as a real world bad, and he takes his form and his technology that he has been given by his program and brings it into the real world with the permanence program. And then you have a really powerful being that has the control of his grid and technology now. How cool would that have been?
You just made the movie so much better.
Versus waiting for, we'll do it in the sequel, and we'll do a post-credit tease of it.
Oh my God.
If Dillinger becomes the big bad of the movie digitally and in the real world, that I think would have been a much stronger film. And then you can explore the real world for sure, but also I think Tron exists best. The movies are best when you're in the Tron grids. And then you can bring Greta Lee into the grid. You can bring Kim back into the grid. You can have Ares stay in the grid, and you can have a dark red grid movie with the majority of the movie taking place in the grid, where the signs, the tech all works and looks so much better and makes more sense to the world. I think that would have been a lot more interesting to have Dillinger be a big bad halfway through like that.
I think that's a great point because I like the way I like that he turned into a villain in the grid, but I hated that it was a post-credit scene.
Yeah, and then put him in the NCOM grid.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's trying to take over the NCOM grid that way digitally. You know, I think that would have been really interesting.
That's oh my god, you just improved the film so much, and the reason why is because the conflicts in the climax of this movie, it felt like inciting. Just like rising action in a second act. It didn't like this movie's big climax is a one-on-one fight, Athena versus Ares, and it felt very small.
Yeah.
For like the end of what's supposed to be this gigantic blockbuster movie, it's just like, you think I'd risk it on a fist fight with you? It was just like
I had an ace up the sleeve.
The two of them fighting in the street, like that was the ending, the big climax. I mean, the climax of Tron Legacy was fucking gigantic. It was huge. So it was
so philosophical.
Yeah,
of a godlike character giving his son the power to escape.
Absolutely, and I will say like the conflict and the plot felt small for what the movie promised. I would say so. If Evan Peters' character had gone super villain halfway through, I think it would have been fantastic, and I think it would have made a lot more sense and improved the film. And then you already have a huge villain. That the heroes have to face up against in film 4, which they're clearly setting up. Again, no Garrett Hedlund, no Olivia Wilde in the flesh in this movie, but we saw teases of their photographs. Ares basically becomes Jared Leto.
The bandana around the neck.
Yeah, so I love how I love it. I was honestly cracking up. But Ares,
I started a band called 30 Seconds to Mars. We're on tour.
Once he's basically formed with the permanence code, he can survive in the real world, and he goes off to do his own thing. And he's traveling the world. He's hanging out in Mexico. His hair's blonde from sunlight. It's full Jared Leto mode. He's
got an ombre.
Yeah, the ombre. But he writes a postcard to Eve. I think that Eve and him had a pretty cute relationship. They did an okay job with that. I wouldn't say the chemistry was great between them, but it was
too cutesy sometimes.
It was okay.
In the car, like they're trying to save the world. They're like having a cutesy conversation.
But I liked Ares. He has this curious nature that it's like a constant curiosity about life. Which I mean, I did like Ares. I was not expecting to like Jared Leto's Ares as much as I did.
Best part of the movie.
Yeah, and he did work in a lot of ways. But he basically becomes Jared Leto, traveling the world, and then he writes a postcard to Eve. But also we see that he's got photos of Sam Flynn and Olivia Wilde's character. What's her program's name? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Can't remember. Let me pull it up.
But it looks like they are famous in the world.
Cora?
It's Cora, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, being the first digital being in the real world, she's got to be world famous. It seems like Sam and her are maybe just living
world famous.
Yeah, for being a program.
No, no one knows she
okay,
exists.
You're right. All right. No one knows.
This is the first AI like anyone's ever seen.
All right, gotcha. You're right.
She's a fuck. Yeah, she's also in 30 Seconds to Mars.
She's his Instagram.
She became Olivia Wilde. Yeah.
He's clearly looking for them.
I think he's looking for her.
Yeah.
He only has photos of her.
They're living off the grid. No,
he doesn't have. There's no photos of Sam. He has photos of Cora.
There's a photo of Sam. There's a photo of Sam and Cora.
Oh, but then he says, I'm looking for her, and it just takes a photo. I think he's just looking for Cora.
Yeah. But I'm sure Sam's with her. So maybe they'll bring them back for the next film, if they make a next film. This movie costs a lot. I'm not sure it's going to have a huge box office. It'll have a good opening weekend, but it really is going to have to depend on international ticket sales to get a bulk of its box office. It's going to have to make a lot overseas.
Now, I think in addition to, I want to say one more thing about the villain problem. Especially with Dillinger, he almost never leaves just two locations.
Yeah.
He never does. He's either in his suite, looking at screens and computers, or he's in the warehouse. So he's a very limited character in terms of your big bad.
And it seems like the suite is connected to the warehouse.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's a skyscraper.
Gotcha.
That warehouse is like a bunker,
right.
Or like a plane bunker, whatever those are called. Like I said, he doesn't really leave anywhere. It's a similar problem. And I want to go back to, they do expand on Tron Legacy, but the biggest letdown for me, I think, probably compared to Tron Legacy, is the ignoring of the ISOs until the very end of the film. You know, the ISOs, that's what Quora was. Quora was an isomorphic algorithm. She was an ISO, which when Kevin Flynn created the system in the grid, and these beings came out of nowhere. And Quora was one of those original organic beings that was created from the digital world.
And that was the rebellious war that happened.
And they were being hunted by Clue in the previous film. And the magic of the ISOs was, I think, one of the most interesting parts of that film.
Oh, you're so right.
I didn't hear it brought up once. The ISOs. I think that was the direction they should have gone with this film. You can still have another program. You can have Ares, but I think just pretend like that didn't happen. The whole plot revolved around the ISOs in the last film.
Yeah.
And they're never brought up once in this film. Yes, we get the photos of Quora at the end, but if you never saw that movie, if you don't remember, you don't even remember what the fucking ISOs were. So I think that letting the ISOs down from the previous film, which was one of the main plot points, and Quora was the main plot of that film, was getting Quora out. And then also, Flynn has no really regard in this. There's no need for Kevin Flynn to be in this movie after what I saw. You know, I was expecting more. Jeff Bridges is barely in this movie.
Cameo.
It's a cameo.
Yeah.
He's not even himself. He's a program, because obviously he probably died at the last film or became part of the program. But Kevin Flynn really is just there for nostalgia.
Yeah.
They really, I feel like they could have made him an important part of the movie, but they didn't. They dropped the ball with Kevin Flynn and Jeff Bridges for Tron Ares.
Yeah, I mean, I liked seeing him, but then when you realize he was just there to open a door, it was like, that's it. That's it. I did love the 80s grid. I thought it was fun to see that on the big screen, see that in IMAX. And I'm not sure if they shot that sequence on film. If they did, it's cool, but at least they color graded it so it looked like it was shot on film. And I'm talking about the characters, because that, like Jared Leto's, his skin, Jeff Bridges' skin, their faces, that they shot, because the original Tron was shot in black and white, and then they rotoscoped over and over and over all different layers of light and color on top of the black and white film. And they also slightly colorized their faces, so it wasn't like pure black and white, complete desaturation. So there was a little saturation. So I liked how they
didn't shoot on film.
They did?
No, they did not. It's all 4K and 8K raw.
Okay, so they did a great job color grading it to look like it was shot. Those characters were shot on the film format.
They shot on the red Tron V Raptor X.
Wow, their own camera.
I think it was built by Ari for them.
And yeah, it looks like Jeff was there for like the 2 days of filming tops,
if that. Oh, it's a red digital camera.
Okay, cool. The thing is, the film. What's interesting is the film shows a lot of love for the original movie, but then at the same time it acts as though Legacy didn't happen.
Yeah,
which is weird because fans love Legacy, and they treated this story as though whatever happened in Legacy, forget about it.
Except for Kevin Flynn's a guy.
Yeah, Kevin Flynn's got an office. His office is in NCOM now. So that's why I found it strange that they showed so much attention to the original, but acted like the second one never happened.
Yeah, and also if John Dillinger can hack into NCOM anytime he wants, wouldn't he have already done it before and gotten all this incredible data and Kevin Flynn's secrets before? No, the permanence code.
Yeah. I mean, once Ares was created, he should have just been using that to hack into NCOM, I guess.
I'm disappointed how it doesn't really connect with Tron Legacy that much.
Yeah,
you know, that was a huge letdown for me.
I think
the suits look better in Tron Legacy as well too, and I think Weta did a great job. But there's something about the suits in that second film.
Oh, it's outstanding, the suits in that one. There's just something about, the franchise obsession of overarching stories and setting up characters, setting up plot points, the addiction to post-credit scenes to reveal big characters or new conflicts. It suited Marvel for the first 10 years, but it doesn't suit every franchise. And I don't think every franchise should be, using that kind of structure for their stories.
Especially a franchise that can't consistently make sequels in a decent amount of time.
True. Good point.
You have the original came out almost 35 years before the sequel, and then 10 years later we finally get a sequel to that. And
15 years later.
15 years later.
When was Tron 2010 or 2015?
Oh yeah, it was 2010.
Yeah, 15 years later.
So 15 years later we get a sequel finally, and they're teasing a villain for a sequel which is going to come when?
20 years.
Just go out guns blazing.
Again, I mean, this is why Nolan was so great with his films in a trilogy, is because he was just always self-contained in storyline and just trying to make it as strong as possible. And I gotta say, I kept thinking of The Dark Knight while watching this film, in terms of how it was filmed, where it was filmed, the light cycles, the way they filmed Canada in those action scenes. It just felt so much like The Dark Knight's nighttime action scenes on the bat cycle, and the truck flip. I kept getting vibes of The Dark Knight. I'm not sure if you felt the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Knight, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's about it.
And also, Joey Turner-Smith did a great job, and I really liked Athena as a villain. But I think that she turned into the main villain of the movie, whereas Dillinger, I think, would have worked better, like you said, with your idea and concept of going to the grid sooner. And then because he was already a villain, Athena wasn't a villain for the first hour, and then she became one. I'm not sure that villains work if they're protagonists, or at least assumed protagonists at first. But it did work in some of the scenes. She felt like Terminator-esque, this unstoppable force, this dangerous thing that'll stop at nothing to get Eve. I like that. It was really cool seeing the Recognizer.
Yeah.
The Recognizer looked great. It looked like it was really there. Like, the CGI in this movie is insane. It looked like they really, truly did bring Recognizer into the city in a believable way.
Yeah, I will say, though, Gillian Anderson's death, Elizabeth Dillinger's death, made no sense because this is a character who's warning her son of having no control over these programs, and they know what the programs are capable of. And she literally just, like, walks up to the program. And what's she going to do? Like, stop it?
Yeah.
I think she's a great actor.
She's a wonderful actor.
But that's just, like, a character decision that it's just, like, that's how you're going to kill her?
Well, Gillian Anderson's character is only there to just be the social moral compass of her son. She's really just exists to just say, what you're doing is wrong. This is dangerous. They have that interaction 5 times in the film.
Yeah.
And really, like, that's all her character's there for. Like, she has the most dialogue in this movie, I think.
What? No, she doesn't.
I feel like she has a
about?
lot of. Okay, right.
Evan Peters has. They all have way more dialogue.
Evan Peters has the most. But I feel like her character
scenes, dude.
Her character was there and didn't really add much at all.
Just berating her son.
Yeah, just like we know what he's doing is wrong. We know it's bad to kill people. We get it. We don't need to be told that what you're doing is wrong. Great idea. I like the idea of the maternal figure, the former leader of the company, stepped down. The young blood's in there, and he's changing things up in a crazy way. Again, I feel like that we've been getting this writing problem I've seen in a lot of modern blockbusters where the movie's big, but the story feels small in scope, in character, and like, there was a movie we saw. And my problem with the film was there was only like 8 speaking characters in the movie. Remember, like a month ago, it was a big blockbuster movie. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there were like no actors in this movie. This story was tiny. And I felt that with this one too. It didn't feel as big as it could have been.
What movie was that?
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, I'm pulling up my.
We watched something, and it was a big movie, and I was like, there were like 7 characters who said something in that
Fantastic
movie.
Four.
Fantastic Four, exactly. I felt okay. It felt like the same vibe as Fantastic Four in terms of the story and the dialogue and the characters, and I felt a similar vibe.
Yeah, it was too cutesy at times.
Yeah,
like, we didn't need to see a baby in the backseat of a car.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this? I thought it was gonna be more serious.
Me too.
Good watch though.
It's pretty good.
Music slaps. The visual effects are absolutely out of this world good. But yeah, that's about all I got.
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, their cameo.
Oh yeah, what was it?
They play the fighter pilots
Can you say that again?
They play the fighter jet pilots.
Gotcha.
So when Athena is bringing the Recognizer into the city and trying to get Eve, a bunch of jets attack it. They play 2 of the pilots.
The fighter
The fighter pilots.
Sorry, what?
The
No, yeah, but yeah.
Takeaways. Right. I like Jared Leto's Ares. I was not expecting that.
Takeaways. I'm probably never gonna watch this movie again.
It doesn't have rewatch value at all.
Yeah, but I mean, Tron Legacy, I will probably put on anytime I want.
You know what? It's funny you say that because on my ride home from this film, I put on the soundtrack to Legacy.
Me too.
And the Ares is great. The Nine Inch Nails did a good job, but what Daft Punk did with Trapeze was just like, whew,
it's amazing. All right, well, thanks so much for tuning into this review of Tron Ares. Hopefully you enjoyed the film and watching and listening to us. I can't even talk right now. Watching and listening to us break it down. There are a few things you can do to really help our show, which we'd really appreciate. Take less than a minute. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can join our memberships program on there. You get access to episodes early as well as bonus episodes. Patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. This is how we pay the rent, guys, and we appreciate everyone who joins our programs and our memberships. Patreon, you get access to bonus episodes as well. You also get access to the Letterboxd recap, as well as our Discord where we do watch parties. So many great chat threads going on there. A great community that has been built, as well as merchandise access as well. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. They really help us. Engaging with our content on Instagram, TikTok, social media. That's how we get these cool jobs. We got to see the first 20 minutes of Predator because you all engage with our content. You leave comments. You share us in your stories. You follow us. So we really appreciate that. And, that's a huge way to support us. So do all those things. In the meantime, take care.
See you next time.